This will be mini-series of employee stories who worked at gas station at Route 66. I will tell them until workers run out of stories or until they mysteriously disappear. Enjoy. I never thought I'd end up here, staring out into the endless black stretch of Route 66 from behind a grimy counter, the fluorescent lights buzzing like angry wasps overhead. The gas station squats on the edge of nowhere, a forgotten relic with pumps that groan like they're alive, and a sign that flickers, open 24/7, even when the world feels closed for good. I've been working the night shift for months now, ever since the last job dried up and left me scraping for anything that paid. But this place, it's not just a job, it's a trap, one that snaps shut the moment you clock in. And once you're in, the rules make sure you don't get out easy. The old manager handed me the list on my first night, his eyes sunken like he'd seen too much and forgotten how to blink. "Follow these," he rasped, shoving the crumpled paper into my hand. "Or don't. Your choice." But it wasn't a choice. Not really. The rules were scrawled in faded ink, some crossed out and rewritten, like they'd evolved over time with each poor soul who tried to ignore them. Rule 1. Never look customers in the eyes for more than 3 seconds. Rule 2. If the lights flicker 3 times in a row, lock the doors and hide in the back until dawn. Rule 3. Don't serve anyone who pays with coins that feel warm to the touch. There were more, a dozen at least, each one stranger than the last. I laughed it off at first, thinking it was some hazing ritual for the new guy. But that was before the customers started rolling in. Route 66 has always been a vein of weirdness cutting through the heart of the country. Or so the stories go. I've heard them all. Ghost hitchhikers vanishing at bends in the road, diners where the food moves on its own, motels that swallow guests whole. They say the route is cursed, built on old burial grounds or something older, something that resents the asphalt scarring its skin. A few weeks back, I overheard truckers whispering about a stretch just east of here, where a convoy disappeared last year. No wreckage, no bodies, just empty cabs found idling with the radios blasting static that sounded like screams. And further west, there's that abandoned town where shadows linger too long after sunset, pulling at your ankles if you stray off the pavement. I didn't believe any of it until my shifts started blurring those tales into reality. This gas station, it's a nexus, a pit stop for whatever crawls out when the sun dips low. The customers aren't human, not all of them. Some are echoes of those lost on the route, others, worse. My first real encounter came on a night when the wind howled like it was mourning the dead. The bell above the door tinkled, and in walked a man, or what looked like one. He was tall, too tall for the door frame, stooping slightly as if his spine had been stretched on a rack. His skin was pale, almost translucent, veins pulsing blue beneath like rivers on a map. He shuffled to the counter, placing a pack of gum and a crumpled bill down without a word. I glanced up, forgetting the rule, and met his eyes. They were empty sockets, hollowed out like someone had scooped them with a spoon. But inside, tiny pinpricks of light swirled, drawing me in. I felt a tug in my chest, like my soul was unraveling thread by thread. 3 seconds passed, then 4, and suddenly I was seeing things. Flashes of a car wreck on the route, metal twisting, blood spraying across the windshield in thick arcs, a woman's face smashed against the glass, her jaw unhinged and flapping as she gasped her last. I jerked back, slamming my hand on the counter, and the vision snapped. He smiled then, lips peeling back to reveal teeth filed to points, stained red at the gums. "Keep the change," he whispered, voice like gravel grinding under tires. The bill he left was soaked in something sticky, warm. I didn't touch it until he left, and when I did, it smelled like copper and rot. That was mild compared to what followed. The rules aren't just guidelines, they're survival. One night, the lights flickered once, twice, I counted, heart pounding, and on the third, I bolted for the doors. But I was too slow. A customer was already inside, a woman this time, dressed in a floral print that looked decades old, faded and torn. She asked for directions to a town that doesn't exist anymore, one wiped off maps after some incident on the route years ago. Rumors of a fire that burned without heat, consuming flesh but leaving bones intact, piled in the streets like kindling. I mumbled something, avoiding her gaze, but she leaned in, her breath reeking of decay, like meat left in the sun. "You know the way," she insisted, grabbing my wrist. Her nails dug in, breaking skin, and blood welled up in perfect beads. Under her grip, my arm went numb, then cold, as if she was siphoning the warmth right out of me. I yanked free, flesh tearing with a wet rip, and locked myself in the storage room. Through the door, I heard her pacing, humming a tune that echoed the static from those lost trucks. She scratched at the wood, nails splintering, leaving gouges that still mark it today. By morning she was gone, but the floor was slick with something viscous. Strands of hair matted in it, long and gray like they'd been pulled from a drain. The worst are the ones who don't buy anything, just linger by the pumps, staring at the building as if they're deciding whether to come in. Last shift, a van pulled up. No plates, windows tinted black. The driver stepped out, but his shadow didn't match. It writhed on the ground, tentacles unfurling like it was alive and hungry. He filled up, paid with those warm coins that burned my palm, leaving blisters that popped with pus the next day. As he drove off, I swear I saw faces pressed against the rear window, mouths open in silent screams, hands slapping the glass in desperation. They say Route 66 collects souls, traps them in loops, replaying their ends over and over. Maybe that's what these customers are. Replays, glitches in the fabric, leaking out at places like this. I can't quit. The manager vanished 2 weeks ago, left a note saying, "The route calls." Now it's just me, and the rules have a new one added in shaky handwriting. Don't look for the others. But I hear them sometimes, scratching from under the floorboards, whispering names of towns long gone. The night shift stretches on, the road outside endless, pulling at me like those eyes did. And tonight, as the bell rings again, I wonder if I'll make it to dawn or if I'll become another story whispered along the route, another rule for the next fool who takes this job. The bell above the door jangles again, a shrill note that cuts through the hum of the fluorescence and sets my teeth on edge. I'm still shaking from last night's shift, the memory of that van's writhing shadow and the faces in the window clawing at my mind. My palm throbs where the coins blistered it, the skin raw and peeling like I'd pressed it to a hot skillet. I haven't slept since. Every time I close my eyes, I see those pinprick lights swirling in hollow sockets, or hear that woman's humming, the static-laced melody that seemed to crawl inside my skull. But I'm back behind the counter, because the rules don't care if you're tired. They don't care if you're scared. And Route 66? It doesn't let you go. It's just past midnight. The air outside thick with that unnatural stillness that blankets this stretch of road, when the world feels like it's holding its breath. The pumps stand like sentinels under the flickering sign, their hoses dangling like limp limbs. I check the rules again, the paper creased and stained from my sweaty hands. Rule 4. If you hear knocking from the storage room, don't open the door, no matter how human it sounds. Rule 5. If a customer asks for the special, tell them it's out of stock and don't look at the coolers. I don't know what the special is, but the coolers hum louder than they should. And sometimes when I pass them, I swear I see shapes moving behind the glass, shapes that don't match the soda cans or beer bottles. The bell rings again and my heart lurches. A man steps in, his boots leaving wet black smears on the linoleum. He's wearing a trucker's cap pulled low, but it's the smell that hits me first. Diesel and something sour like milk gone bad. He doesn't speak, just shuffles to the coffee machine, his movements jerky like a marionette with half its strings cut. I keep my eyes on the counter, counting the seconds, 1, 2, 3, before glancing up. His face is wrong. The skin sags off his cheekbones, pooling at his jaw like melted wax, and his mouth is too wide, lips twitching as if they're trying to form words but can't. He pours coffee, but the liquid that spills into the cup is thick, dark, and smells like iron. I grip the edge of the counter, my knuckles white, and mutter, "That'll be $2." He turns, and I catch a glimpse of his eyes. Milky white, no pupils, just a film of cloudiness that seems to shift like fog. He slides 2 coins across the counter, and they're warm, searing my skin again. I drop them into the register, biting back a yelp, and when I look up, he's gone. The coffee cup left behind, steaming with that red-black sludge. I should have locked the doors after that, but the rules don't say anything about lingering smells or cups that bleed. I'm mopping up the smears he left when the lights flicker. Once, twice. My breath catches. If it hits 3, I'm done for. Sprint for the door, but the third flicker never comes. Instead, there's a knock from the storage room, soft at first, then louder, insistent, like knuckles rapping bone. It sounds human, desperate, like someone trapped. I freeze, Rule 4 screaming in my head. Don't open the door. But the knocking turns to pounding and a voice whispers through the wood. Please, help me. I'm like you. My hand hovers over the knob, trembling, but I back away, heart hammering. The voice cracks, sobbing now, and the words twist into something else. A guttural chant that makes my ears ring and my vision blur. I stumble back to the counter, slamming my hands over my ears. But the sound burrows in, like worms wriggling through dirt. When it finally stops, the silence is worse, heavy and suffocating, and the air smells like ash. I don't know how long I sit there, curled behind the counter, but the bell rings again, snapping me upright. This time, it's a girl, maybe 16, her hoodie torn and streaked with something dark. She's holding a crumpled map, the kind you'd find in a glove box, edges frayed like it's been handled by 1,000 hands. I need the special, she says, her voice flat, eyes fixed on the coolers. My stomach drops. Rule 5. We're out, I stammer, keeping my gaze on her shoes. Mismatched, one sneaker, one bare foot, the toes bruised and bent at wrong angles. She doesn't move, just repeats. The special. I shake my head, backing away, but she steps closer and the air grows cold like she's pulling the warmth from the room. Look at the coolers, she whispers, and I don't know why, but my eyes betray me, flicking to the glass. The coolers aren't right. The bottles are gone, replaced by jars, dozens of them, filled with a murky liquid that swirls with flecks of red. Inside each one, something floats. Fingers, eyes, chunks of flesh, bobbing like pickles in brine. I gag, bile rising, and the girl laughs, a sound like breaking glass. You see it now, she says, and her hand shoots out, grabbing my chin, forcing my face toward hers. I break Rule 1, staring into her eyes, and they're not eyes at all. Just holes, endless, pulling me in. I'm falling, seeing flashes of Route 66. A car swerving, her body tumbling through the air, bones snapping as she hits the pavement, her scream swallowed by the road's endless hunger. I wrench free, collapsing against the counter, and she's gone. The map fluttering to the floor. It's not a map anymore, just a sheet of skin, stretched thin, with veins tracing roads that lead nowhere. I can't breathe, can't think. The rules are all I have, but they're not enough. The station feels alive now, the walls pulsing faintly, the floor sticky with something that isn't just spilled soda. Outside, the pumps hum louder, and I see shapes moving in the dark, not quite human, circling like vultures. I think of the stories again, the ones about the route claiming its own. They say it's not just ghosts or demons, it's the road itself alive, feeding on those who travel it, spitting out husks to wander places like this. The manager's note echoes in my head. The route calls. Did he answer it? Is that what's knocking in the storage room, begging to be let out? The bell rings again and I flinch, ready to bolt, but it's just a trucker, normal looking, asking for smokes. I ring him up, hands shaking, and he leaves without incident. But as he pulls away, I see his truck's shadow twist on the pavement, sprouting limbs that don't belong. The rules don't cover this. They don't cover the way the station groans at night, or the scratches under the floor growing louder, or the feeling that I'm not alone, even when the lot is empty. I'm starting to think I'm not just working the night shift. I'm part of it. Another piece of Route 66's collection, waiting to be claimed. The fluorescent lights buzz louder tonight, a grating whine that burrows into my skull like a drill. My hands haven't stopped shaking since the girl with the skin map vanished, leaving behind that rancid chill and the jars in the coolers that I can't bring myself to look at again. The gas station feels smaller now, the walls pressing in, the air thick with a metallic tang that clings to my throat. Route 66 stretches out beyond the windows, a black ribbon that seems to pulse under the moonlight, alive and watching. The rules are taped to the counter, curling at the edges, but they're starting to feel like a cruel joke. Promises of safety that don't hold up when the customers come. And they always come. It's just after 2 a.m. when the bell chimes, sharp and jarring like a bone snapping. I flinch, my heart slamming against my ribs, and glance at the door. A woman stands there, her silhouette wrong. Too thin, too tall, like she's been stretched over a frame. Her dress is old-fashioned, a faded polka dot thing that hangs off her like it's trying to escape. She doesn't move at first, just stands in the doorway, head tilted at an angle that makes my neck ache to look at. I drop my gaze to the counter, counting 1, 2, 3, before risking a glance. Her face is a mess of scars, crisscrossing like someone carved a map into her skin, and her lips are stitched shut with thick black thread that pulls tight with every twitch. She shuffles forward, each step dragging, leaving a trail of something wet and dark that glistens under the lights. I want to gag, but I choke it down, remembering Rule 6. Don't react to the smell, no matter how bad it gets. She stops at the counter, her hands gnarled with nails like rusted iron, placing a single key on the surface. It's old, tarnished, the kind that might unlock a motel room or a car abandoned on the route decades ago. Lost and found, she mumbles through those stitched lips, her voice muffled, wet like she's speaking through a mouthful of mud. I don't know what to do, there's no rule for this. But I nod, keeping my eyes on the key. It's warm when I touch it, radiating heat that seeps into my bones, and I swear I hear a faint whisper, like voices overlapping, pleading from somewhere far away. I slide it into the lost and found box under the counter, my fingers tingling, and when I look up, she's gone. But the trail she left is still there, a slick of blood and something thicker, flecked with bits of what looks like skin. I grab the mop, but the mess doesn't clean. It smears, spreading like an infection, and the air grows heavier, the smell so foul it burns my eyes. I'm still scrubbing when the lights flicker. Once, twice. I freeze, waiting for the third, my pulse pounding in my ears. It doesn't come, but the relief is short-lived. A low hum starts, not from the coolers this time, but from the pumps outside. I peer through the window and my stomach twists. The hoses are moving, writhing like snakes, coiling and uncoiling on the pavement. There's no one out there, no cars, just the pumps, their nozzles dripping something that isn't gasoline. Thick, black, pooling in the cracks of the asphalt like it's alive. I think of the stories again, the ones about Route 66 swallowing whole convoys, about the road drinking what spilled on it. I back away from the window, my breath shallow, and check the rules again. Rule 7. If the pumps start leaking, don't go outside until sunrise. I lock the doors, double-checking the bolts, but the hum grows louder, vibrating through the floor, making my teeth chatter. Then the knocking starts again, from the storage room. It's different this time, not human, not even pretending to be. It's sharp, rhythmic, like claws tapping in code. Rule 4 burns in my mind. Don't open the door. But the sound shifts, becoming a scraping, like something dragging itself across the wood, trying to dig through. I hear a voice, not words, just a low, guttural moan that makes my skin crawl. It's not the manager, not anymore. I think of his note, the route calls, and wonder if he's in there or if he's become something else, something the road claimed and reshaped. The scratching stops, but now there's a new sound, a wet slithering, like something heavy sliding across the floor. I don't dare look. Instead, I huddle behind the counter, clutching the rules like they're a lifeline. But they're starting to blur, the ink running like it's bleeding. The bell rings again and I nearly scream. A man steps in, normal at first glance. Jeans, flannel shirt, baseball cap. But his hands are wrong, fingers too long, bending backward at the knuckles. He asks for a pack of cigarettes, his voice calm, almost soothing. But I can't stop staring at his hands as they slide the money across the counter. The bills are damp, smelling of earth and decay, and when I pick them up, they crumble into wet clumps like rotting leaves. I hand him the cigarettes, avoiding his eyes, but he lingers, tapping those grotesque fingers on the counter. "You hear it, don't you?" he says, his voice dropping to a whisper. "The road, it's talking." I shake my head, muttering something about not knowing what he means, but he leans closer, and I catch a glimpse of his face under the cap. His jaw is unhinged, hanging loose, teeth exposed in a permanent grin. "It's calling you," he says, and then he's gone, the bell silent this time, like it refused to acknowledge him. I'm alone again, but the station doesn't feel empty. The hum from the pumps is louder now, seeping into the walls, and the air is so thick I can barely breathe. I glance at the coolers, and the jars are still there, the shapes inside pressing against the glass, fingers splayed, eyes staring. I think of the girl, her map of skin, and the key in the lost and found, still warm when I check it, still whispering. The route is alive, I'm sure of it now, and this gas station is its mouth, swallowing everyone who stops here. The scratches under the floor are back, louder, closer, and I swear I hear my name, hissed in a voice that isn't human. I'm not just working the night shift anymore, I'm being consumed piece by piece, and the rules are the only thing keeping me from falling apart. But they're failing, and so am I. The bell rings again, and I don't want to look, but I have to. Route 66 is waiting, and it's hungry. The bell's chime slices through the suffocating air, and my body locks up, every muscle screaming to run but rooted to the spot behind the counter. The gas station is a cage tonight, the walls throbbing with that unnatural hum from the pumps, the fluorescent lights spitting static like they're choking on their own glow. The rules are crumpled in my fist, ink smearing from sweat, but they're useless now. None of them tell me how to survive this feeling, like Route 66 itself is coiling around my chest, squeezing. The scratches under the floor haven't stopped, a relentless clawing that syncs with my heartbeat, and the lost and found key in the box is still warm, its whispers louder now, chanting names of places I've never heard but feel like I've died in. I don't want to look at the door, but the bell demands it. A figure steps in, and the air turns sour, thick with the stench of wet earth and something sharper, like burnt hair. It's a man, or it used to be. His face is a patchwork of flesh, stitched together with coarse thread that puckers the skin, pulling it tight in some places and sagging in others, like a quilt made by a blind butcher. His eyes are mismatched, one human, bloodshot and weeping, the other a glossy black orb that reflects the station's lights in a way that makes my stomach lurch. He's carrying a gas can, rusted and dented, and it sloshes as he sets it on the counter, spilling a few drops of something too thick to be gasoline, something that smells like blood and motor oil. "Fill it," he says, his voice a wet rasp like his throat is lined with gravel. I glance at the rules. Number 8, don't touch anything a customer brings in unless it's money. I shake my head, muttering, "We don't do that here." But he leans forward and the stitches on his face strain, one popping loose with a soft snap, oozing something yellow that drips onto the counter. "You'll do it," he says, and that black eye glints, pulling me in. I see flashes, Route 66 at dusk, a pileup of cars, metal screaming as it twists, bodies pinned inside, their faces melting into one another, skin fusing like wax. I jerk back, gasping, and he laughs, a sound like bones grinding together. I point to the pumps outside, hoping he'll leave, but he just stares, unblinking, until I grab the can, breaking the rule because I can't stand that gaze any longer. The can is heavy, warm, and when I carry it to the pump, the liquid inside sloshes with a rhythm that matches the hum in the walls. I don't look at it as I fill it, but the nozzle sputters, spitting out chunks of something soft and wet that splatter on my shoes. I gag, dropping the can, and it hits the pavement with a clang, spilling a puddle that writhes, forming shapes, fingers, faces, before sinking into the asphalt. The man takes it without a word, his stitched face splitting into a grin as he shuffles back to the darkness, leaving me staring at the stain that's already gone. I stumble back inside, my shoes sticking to the floor and the lights flicker. Once, twice. I don't wait for the third. I lock the doors, my hands shaking so bad I drop the keys twice. The scratches under the floor are louder now, frantic, like whatever's down there smells my fear. I think of the manager again. His note, the root calls, and wonder if he's under there, clawing, or if it's something older, something the road birthed long before this station was built. The stories flood back. The motel down the route where guests check in but never out. Their screams echoing in the walls. The diner where the plates serve themselves, food crawling with things that aren't spices. This station is no different. It's a trap, a mouth for Route 66 to feed through, and I'm the bait. The bell doesn't ring this time, but I hear footsteps outside, slow and deliberate, circling the building. I peek through the window and my breath catches. There's no one there, but shadows move across the lot, long and thin, stretching like they're trying to reach inside. They twist, forming shapes, hands, faces, a dog with too many legs, before snapping back to normal. I back away, tripping over a stack of energy drinks, and the coolers hum louder, the jars inside glowing faintly, the eyes floating in them tracking me as I move. Rule 9. Don't acknowledge the shadows, no matter what they do. But it's hard when they're scratching at the glass now, leaving streaks that look like blood. I'm losing it. The station is alive, the walls breathing, the floor pulsing under my feet. I grab the rules, desperate for something to anchor me, but a new one's appeared at the bottom, scrawled in red. Don't look under the counter. My heart stops. I've been crouching here all night, hiding, but I haven't looked down. I don't want to, but my eyes betray me, dropping to the space beneath the register. There's something there curled in the shadows. A hand, pale and bloated, fingers twitching like they're reaching for me. I scream, scrambling back, and it retreats, slithering into the dark with a wet sound, like a tongue sliding over teeth. The scratches under the floor answer, a chorus now, and I hear my name again hissed in a dozen voices. Some human, some not. I'm trapped. The doors are locked, but the shadows are still outside, pressing against the glass, and the hum from the pumps is a roar now, shaking the walls. The lost and found key is vibrating in its box, the whispers so loud they drown out my thoughts. I think of the route, the stories of cars vanishing, of hitchhikers who leave pieces of themselves behind, fingers, teeth, scraps of skin, scattered along the pavement. I'm part of it now, woven into the road's hunger, and the customers know it. They're not just passing through, they're testing me, seeing how long I'll last before I break. The bell rings again, and I don't want to look, but I have to. A child stands in the doorway, clutching a teddy bear that's missing an eye, its stuffing leaking out in clumps that look like hair. "Can you help me find my mom?" she asks, her voice small but wrong, like it's coming from somewhere deep inside the earth. I know there's no rule for this, but I feel it. The road is watching, waiting for me to slip. And it's not done with me yet. The child's voice hangs in the air, small and brittle like a cracked bell echoing in a void. Her words, "Can you help me find my mom?" dig into me, twisting like a knife, but it's the teddy bear that makes my skin crawl. Its single button eye glints under the flickering fluorescence, and the stuffing spilling from its torn side isn't cotton. It's matted, stringy, like clumps of human hair tangled with something slick and dark. The gas station is a pressure cooker tonight. The hum from the pumps a relentless pulse that shakes the walls, sinking with the scratches under the floor. Route 66 is awake, its hunger seeping through the cracks in the asphalt, and I'm caught in its jaws. The rules are useless now, smeared and bleeding on the counter. But I clutch them anyway, my hands slick with sweat and the faint burn from those cursed coins. I force myself to look at the girl, keeping my eyes on her scuffed sneakers. One laced, one not, the bare foot caked with dirt and something red that's too thick to be mud. Rule 1 screams in my head, "Don't look in their eyes." "I can't help you," I stammer, my voice cracking. "Store policy." She doesn't move, just tilts her head, and the motion makes her neck creak like bones grinding. The teddy bear dangles from her hand, swinging slightly, and I swear it moves on its own, its head twisting to face me. "She's out there," the girl says, pointing to the door, her finger bent backward at an impossible angle. I don't look where she's pointing. Rule 10. Never follow a customer's directions outside. I've heard the stories. Drivers lured off the route, found days later with their insides hollowed out, their faces frozen in screams no one heard. The air grows heavier, the smell of decay so thick it coats my tongue. I glance at the coolers and the jars are glowing brighter now, the shapes inside pressing harder against the glass. Hands, eyes, a tongue that flicks like it's tasting the air. The girl steps closer, her bare foot slapping the linoleum, leaving a wet print that bubbles like it's alive. "Mom's waiting," she whispers, and her voice splits, layering with a deeper growl that makes my ears ring. I back away, hitting the counter, and the lost and found box rattles, the key inside banging like it's trying to escape. The whispers from it are louder now, chanting in a language I don't know but feel in my bones, like a warning carved into my marrow. I'm about to tell her to leave when the lights flicker. Once, twice, 3 times. My heart stops. Rule 2. Lock the doors and hide in the back until dawn. But the doors are already locked, and the back is where the scratching comes from, where the hand under the counter slithered. I'm trapped. The girl smiles, her lips splitting to reveal teeth too sharp, too many, stained with something black that drips onto her chin. "You see her too," she says, and the teddy bear's button eye glows, a tiny ember that pulls me in. I'm falling again, seeing Route 66 at night. A woman stumbling from a wrecked car, her face half gone, one eye dangling by a thread, her mouth open in a scream that never stops. The girl's there too, lying in the ditch, her body broken, her hand still clutching that bear. The road drinks them both, their blood soaking into the asphalt, and I feel it. The route's hunger, endless, pulling at me like it pulled at them. I snap back, gasping, and the girl is closer now, her face inches from mine. Her breath smells like gasoline and rot, and the bear's stuffing is moving, writhing, spilling onto the floor in clumps that crawl toward me. I swing the mop handle, not thinking, and it connects with her arm. The impact is wet, soft, like hitting a sack of meat, and her arm bends backward, bone snapping through skin. She doesn't scream, just laughs. A sound like glass shattering in reverse, and the bear hits the floor, its seams bursting, spilling more of that hair, those strands coiling like worms. I bolt for the storage room, breaking Rule 4, because there's nowhere else to go. The door slams behind me, and I wedge a crate against it, my hands shaking so bad I can barely grip. The scratching is louder in here, coming from everywhere. Under the floor, inside the walls, above the ceiling. The air is thick, damp, like I'm breathing through a wet rag, and the smell is worse, a mix of blood and something sweet, like rotting fruit. I hear the girl outside, her voice muffled but clear. She's waiting. The crate rattles, and I see it. The hand from under the counter, pale and bloated, clawing at the gap under the door, nails black and splintered. It's not alone. Other hands join it, smaller, larger, some with fingers missing, all reaching, scraping, leaving streaks of something viscous that pools on the floor. The key in my pocket, somehow it's in my pocket now, burns, searing my thigh, and the whispers are screams, names of towns, of people, of accidents swallowed by the root. I'm not alone in here. Something moves in the corner, a shadow that's too solid, too heavy. It's the manager, or what's left of him. His face is gone, just a smooth expanse of skin where eyes and mouth should be. But his hands are clawing at his own chest, tearing strips of flesh that fall to the floor and crawl toward me. The root calls. He gurgles, though he has no mouth, and I scream, shoving the crate tighter against the door. The girl's laughter is outside. The hands are under the door, and the pumps are roaring now, a sound like the road itself is screaming. I'm part of it. I know that now. Another story for Route 66, another rule for the next fool. The bear's eye is in my mind, glowing, pulling, and I feel the road's hunger in my chest, eating me from the inside. The bell rings again, impossibly through the locked doors, and I know it's not over. The route isn't done with me, and neither are its customers. The bell's chime pierces the storage room's suffocating air, a sound that shouldn't be possible with the doors locked and the crate jammed against the handle. My chest is tight, each breath a struggle against the stench of rot and that sickly sweet undertone, like fruit left to fester. The manager, or whatever he's become, stands in the corner, his faceless head tilted, strips of his own flesh still peeling away, slithering across the floor toward me like leeches. The hands under the door keep clawing, their nails gouging the wood, leaving trails of black ooze that bubbles and hisses. The key in my pocket burns hotter, a searing pain that radiates up my spine, and its whispers are deafening now, a cacophony of voices screaming names, dates, crashes. Route 66's endless ledger of the lost. The gas station is no longer a building. It's a stomach digesting me. And the rules are nothing but scraps of paper, useless against the road's appetite. I'm pressed against the wall, the crate shaking as the hands push harder. The girl's laughter seeping through the cracks, sharp and jagged like a saw. She's waiting, she keeps saying, and I know she means the road. The thing that's been calling since I took this job. The stories were right. Route 66 isn't just cursed, it's alive. A predator that chews up travelers and spits out their echoes to haunt places like this. The scratching under the floor is a frenzy now. Claws tearing through wood, and I feel the boards give slightly, splintering under my feet. Whatever's down there wants out. And I'm starting to think it's not just the manager or the customers. It's everyone the route has ever taken, mashed together into something that doesn't die, doesn't rest. The bell rings again, and the crate lurches forward, the hands breaking through, fingers wriggling like worms. I kick at them, my boot connecting with soft, yielding flesh that bursts under the impact, spraying a foul liquid that smells like death and gasoline. The faceless manager moves then, lurching toward me, his hands outstretched, fingers dripping with that same black ooze. I dodge, slamming into a shelf, cans and boxes crashing to the floor, and something rolls out. A jar like the ones in the coolers, filled with that murky liquid and a single eye staring right at me. It blinks and I scream, my voice raw as the jar shatters, the eye rolling free, trailing a thread of nerve that twitches like it's still alive. Can't stay here. The door's my only chance, but the hands are still there and the girl's laughter is louder, joined by other voices now. Whispers, screams, sobs, all blending into the hum from the pumps outside. I grab a crowbar from the shelf, my hands slick with sweat and that burning key, and swing at the hands, crushing them. They don't stop, even as bones snap and flesh splits, oozing more of that black sludge that crawls up my legs, cold and sticky. I pry the crate away, heart pounding, and yank the door open, expecting the girl, but the station is empty. The counter, the coolers, the linoleum floor, all pristine, like nothing ever happened. But the air is wrong, heavy, and the lights flicker in a rhythm that matches my pulse. I stumble to the counter. The rules gone now, just a blank sheet of paper where they used to be. The lost and found box is open, the key glowing inside, pulsing like a heart. I don't touch it. I can't. The bell rings again and I spin around, crowbar raised. But it's not the girl. It's a man, ordinary at first. Trucker hat, denim jacket. But his skin is too tight, like it's stretched over a frame too big for it. He smiles and his teeth are wrong, jagged and uneven, like they were carved from bone. Got a light? He asks, holding up a cigarette that's already lit, the tip glowing not with fire but with that same ember-like glow as the teddy bear's eye. I shake my head, backing away, but he steps closer and his shadow doesn't follow. It stays put, growing, sprouting limbs that writhe on the floor. You can't leave, he says, his voice layering with others, a chorus of the route's victims. You're part of it now. I swing the crowbar, but it passes through him, and he dissolves into a cloud of ash that swirls toward the coolers, sinking into the jars. The shapes inside are clearer now, faces pressed against the glass, mouths moving in silent screams, hands clawing at nothing. I turn to run, but the door is gone, replaced by a smooth wall, the station sealing itself shut. The hum from the pumps is a roar, shaking the floor, and the scratches are everywhere, under me, above me, inside the walls. The faceless manager is behind me now, his hands on my shoulders, cold and wet, pulling me back. I fight thrashing, but the key in my pocket burns hotter and I feel it. The road, Route 66, inside me, threading through my veins, whispering my name. The stories were true. The route doesn't just take, it keeps. The truckers, the hitchhikers, the girl, the manager. They're all here, trapped in this station, in the pumps, in the asphalt outside. And now I'm one of them. The lights go out, and the last thing I see is the key, glowing in the dark, floating in front of me like an eye. The scratches stop, replaced by a single voice, mine, screaming, as the road swallows me whole. I don't know how long it's been, but I'm still here behind the counter, the bell ringing as new customers come. I try to warn them, but my voice doesn't work. My hands don't move. I'm part of the station now, part of the route, watching as the next fool takes my place, reading the rules, thinking they'll survive. The road's still hungry, and it's calling them too. Thank you for listening. I kindly ask you to drop a like and subscribe and share this video with fellow horror story fan.